Awesome. Welcome everyone to our After the Pause YouTube podcast. Kate, I think I start this the same way every time with awesome.
You do, and I love it.
Oh, okay. Well, everyone's got their thing. So there you go, everyone. That is mine. We are here. This is the podcast where we typically talk all things A Place Called Braverly. We've also been interviewing different people, and it's all been really cool and really exciting.
Mhm.
And tonight is a little different, not entirely, but we just have some really exciting news to share with you guys that you're gonna have to stay tuned until the end to hear it. Um, but yeah, so this is the place where we talk about all things A Place Called Braverly. In the book, we really talk around three main ideas, right? Which is to live brave, to dream boldly, and to influence bravery in others. And there are these really big, great ideas. And I think when we think about dreaming big, wild, crazy dreams, like that's what dreaming brave is, right? It's got to be big, it's got to be loud,
Mhm.
it's got to be wild and crazy. And there is some truth to that, right? Like, absolutely, that can be a form of dreaming bravely, but it's not exactly the perspective that we talk about in our book, right, Kate?
Yeah, no, it isn't, and I think that that is like such a big misconception, and especially like our culture, like our Western culture, that like wants bigger and better, like everything is bigger and better. Like also, like, have you seen TVs these days? Oh my gosh, they're huge. Like everything is just bigger. And I think sometimes we like have these really catchy phrases like dream big. And you're right, there is some truth into that because like I think that our dreams, they should be things that push us and things that maybe feel like bigger than we can accomplish. But the dreams that we talk about in the book, they could be big or small. Like the size literally does not matter. The brave dreams that we talk about, that we really like, that we both think like are truly kingdom dreams, are the dreams that lead us to dependence on who the Lord is. Like I think of the Israelites walking around Jericho, and it's like the Lord told them to just walk and to walk behind priests and to walk behind worship. And then from there, like the walls are gonna come crumbling down, which like that's a big dream, like to make it past Jericho, to defeat Jericho. That's huge. But it happened in this super unconventional slash unwise way that makes them look so foolish. And as much as I don't want to step into a dream that could make me look like a fool, or maybe does make me look like a fool, like that's the kind of kingdom dreams that we're talking about. That the dreams that if the Lord doesn't show up, we're gonna look ridiculous. And we may even look ridiculous in the process. Cause I bet you the people in Jericho were like, what? Like when they saw the Israelites, like that was probably pretty silly. But those dreams are so much, they're bigger than ourselves, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're big.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, like when we're talking about this book, and like, I mean, you and I have reminisced about this a lot, and I know we've shared it from different times, but this book was exactly that, what you're describing. Like, it was this thing that was just bigger than ourselves. It's not like it was wild and crazy. It felt wild and crazy to us. It was maybe a non-traditional wild and crazy. But yeah, it was just, we had no idea what we were doing. And it started in this place of what could it look like to put together a resource that women here in Thailand and Burma could have, that speaks to them about who the father is, that speaks to them about what it looks like to be a woman of courage, and that is actually written in their language. Obviously, you and I didn't write it in their language. We've had it translated.
No.
Yeah. Oh, that would be a crazy dream.
Zoinks.
But that was like the heart behind it, right? Because resources like that just simply don't exist here. And something that so many of us have bookshelves just lined with resources, and these women here don't even have a resource. And so that's where it started for us, right? It just was a question. It was like
Mm-hmm.
this small thing, but like it felt really big because we had no idea how it was going to happen. We wanted to use it here in Thailand. We wanted to use it here in Burma as well, and yet the Lord has taken that and kind of blown it out of the water because it's been published in the U.S. And every step that we've taken along the way, we've just kind of been making it up in some ways, right? Like fumbling along and just trying to figure it out. The amount of times that I think we've looked at something and been like, how do you do that? I don't know. Like Kate, you yourself, you have done a ton of research around what it takes to even publish a book. It's crazy.
Oh my gosh. I know it's nuts. Well, and maybe somebody's watching who's like, "Oh yeah, been there, done that." But like, I've never worked with translators before. I remember like Googling translators and like so much would come up and you're like, that doesn't feel legit. Like this, like I don't know who to trust. Like because the other piece of this is like we work in ministry, so we're also dealing with like we're trying to steward the resources the Lord has given us. I think people outside of ministry obviously are doing that as well, but we feel that burden to steward that. And so there's so much about this that we've just tried to figure out. Like we're not we're not that clever to be like at the very beginning to start off with this idea of like we're gonna write this book and then it's gonna go here and here. No, we literally like I think it's for the women at Braverly, and that's it. Like, and then the Lord's like, we're gonna go bigger. It's gonna be bigger than we imagine. I remember like both of us many times just praying like, Holy Spirit, lead us. Holy Spirit, give us the words to say. Because the other thing that like we talked about so often was there are so many books on bookshelves around the world, and like we don't want to add to the noise. Like we don't want to just write a book that might seem like that it has its moment. Not saying that ours will last forever and ever, but like we want something that's truly like inspired, like and led by the Holy Spirit. And his words. So I just remember so many times like praying that over my own heart. And I remember like both of us praying that, still praying that because we're still in that boat. But I remember, Christy, I don't even know what writing retreat it was. We would take these writing retreats in Thailand, which, taking a writing retreat in Thailand is pretty epic. It's much more epic than doing it in the Midwest in the US. You can go to Milwaukee, but there you can go to like you can go to waterfalls, so that's cool. And like ancient ruins. I remember that. I was like, what? Where am I? Um, yeah, it's crazy. But like I remember sitting in a coffee shop on one of those writing retreats and just praying for the Lord, like desperate for him to show up because like I was feeling so inadequate of like, you want us to write what? And you want us to do what? Like I don't what? And I just remember him saying to me, like, Kate, I want you to walk women home to me. Like, that was a phrase that I felt like he said and definitely spoke over this process, and this book that we have written. And again, like, it's not because we think we're that clever. It's the Lord that's led so much of this. But that I think for me, that's when that vision of like a global community of women was birthed, where it's not just like the women at Braverly, it's not just the women in Thailand and Burma, it's not just the women in the US. And there's been this idea, I think for both of us, that said, okay, God, like whatever you want to do with this, we're in. And we've talked about like, what if there was like a global community of women who are trying to walk home to the Father? Because these ideas of like courage and encountering the heart of the Father, like that's kind of the heart of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, yes and amen to everything that you've said. Like this dream, this thing that we felt like the Lord prompted us to step into, like has been something that we've needed him to lead us the
Mm-hmm.
entire way. We've needed him to give us the step that we're supposed to take, the moment we're supposed to take it, to open the door that needs open, the moment that it needs open, because we're incapable
Yeah.
of mustering up the energy, the whatever. Like we can come to the table and like, I'm gonna just keep working really hard, but unless the Lord like makes the way clear, unless he
Mm-hmm.
opens the door, we had no idea what we were doing. And so we needed him in a way that we just hadn't had to rely on him like that before for a project like this, And so there was just something so beautiful in that journey. And I'm curious, Kate, for you. I mean, we often throw questions back and forth to each other, but
Yeah.
if you, for anyone listening today, if you were to sum up like what do you think it really looks like to dream bravely, to dream boldly? What would you say?
Yeah. Yeah. We talk about this in one of the chapters in the book. I know I wrote it, but I don't remember what chapter it is. But I it's been a while since I read that chapter, apparently. That's embarrassing. Guys, we're just real here on this. We're not like
We don't
we're
have our book memorized.
no, there's so much going on in life. Oh man. Anyways, dreaming boldly, like bravely with the Father, I think it comes back to that question that the Lord asked Moses, "Oh, what's that in your hand?" And for Moses, he was holding a staff, and it was something that was so ordinary, like probably pretty like grungy and dirty, and like not not at all what someone would imagine. Like the Lord's going to use this. But that's exactly what he did use. And so I think it starts with truly sitting with that question, what's that in your hand? And then I think with that, like just thinking about our own lives, our own hearts, minds, what are the things that are passions that we have? What are things that maybe keep us up at night, or things that kind of spark something different inside of us? So for like us, we what's that in our hand? Like for us, it was writing. We both love writing. And I know a lot of people hate that and they laugh at us when we say that, but hey, it is what it is. We love writing. And like one of our passions is discipleship and walking alongside women. And so the Lord was like, perfect, we got it, we're bringing them together. And he does that in so many ways in our lives. Christy, like there's so much in your hands, and there's so much that the Lord is using in your hands, and there's big dreams that your team in Thailand is pursuing, like I don't know, changing the entire like adoption like culture and government policies in Thailand. So talk about a bold dream. There's one, but it
Yeah.
aligns with like what's in your hand and the passions the Lord has given you. And I think too, like as we talk about these bold dreams, like it takes some sitting with the Father to let him show us that. It also takes a yes. It takes just taking that step, one little step, saying yes to him. And the other thing that I come back to all the time, that I have to remind myself of all the time, because I'm not perfect, is just worship over worry, and trying to figure out like, yeah, but what does this actually mean? What is it actually going to look like? Because I think as we dream boldly with the Father, there's so many questions that come up, like, how do you translate a book? How do you build a safe home in a country where you like barely speak the language? Like there's so many questions that come up, right? But like there's so much like worship that can happen in the midst of that instead of worry. Like you can have the questions, like that's okay. And you can have like those anxieties, like that's normal. But like I think one thing that sets us apart in the kingdom is choosing worship over that worry. And so like I think there's a lot that goes into dreaming bravely with the Father, but those are some of the big things that like I've seen in my life and yours. Chrissy, I love hearing this from you. So I just want to know like what are some of the brave dreams that the Lord has given you, and how have you seen him show up in that?
Yeah.
And have you chosen to live courageously even when you don't see the road ahead?
Yeah. Um, no, well, okay, so you alluded to like one of the biggest ones that just not only myself, but like as an organization that we're going after right now, right? Like it's this safe homeland and this dream of like just family. That's really what it boils down to,
Mhm.
is that we're designed for family. Um, and so as a part of that dream, one, like using what's in my hand, I have such a heart for creating like home and family for people, that I want my home here to always be a space that just welcomes others, that makes them feel like
Mm,
this is your house, you know? Um, and so it's taking what's in my hand and creating a space that like others can feel at
yeah.
home in. They can feel like it's peace filled, like comfortable. Having people over for dinner, like that's such a simple thing, but it's what's in my hand. And it also creates home and family for people. On a larger scale, it's this Safe Homeland project. It's trying to figure out how to one, like you said, do that with all of these barriers of like language barrier. We use the metric system here. It's really complicated all of a sudden to convert things into meters. You wouldn't think that's a hard thing. I apologize to my geometry teacher who told me that I would, in fact, need to know these formulas one day. He was right. And I'm sorry for being that kid who always asks why.
It's so funny. Oh my gosh, that's
You
good.
didn't know you need to know. Oh gosh. So, yeah, these things like we have no idea what steps to take most days
Hmm.
because we've never done this before. We have never tried to put together blueprints and find a contractor in another country who's familiar with the building policies in this country. Like it's mind blowing when I think through all the steps that we need to take, and we don't even know what steps we're missing because we've just never done this before. So it's truly this journey of having to rely on the Father and like, look, if you don't show up at this point, we're just going to be sitting here because we don't know what to do. And you're the one who said that this is what you want us to do. And so
Hmm.
we're waiting, you know?
Yeah.
And that's just what it looks like. And I love how you tie worship into that because it is so true. I think
Mm.
about specifically with this land journey, how many times we've just gone out onto the land that is purchased that we have, and we've just gone out there to pray and to worship. It's become this space for us even before anything's been built on it of just like, okay, God, like you've claimed this land, you've said this is the spot, you've like done so many miraculous things to allow us to even purchase it. So we're not going to stop believing now that you're not going to give us the next step when we need to have the next step. Um, and so sitting in that space of like worshiping him, even though we just have no idea what's coming. We have no idea what's next. We have no idea when we're going to meet that next connection that we need to have to see the next thing, the next phase of the land start to move forward. Um, yeah, so it's this space of sitting and trusting, but worshiping him in that space and thanking him for the things that he hasn't given us yet, but we know that they're coming. Um,
Yeah.
it's a beautifully hard space to occupy.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, I think too, what I love about what you just shared, I love the example that like you and Amy and the rest of the team are setting by allowing worship to like be kind of that first step for you in this really unknown space. But what I think I also love and I want to like point out is that maybe I'm wrong, but like you're probably not going out there every day or like maybe even every week.
No.
Like you're probably not, but like I think sometimes my thoughts tend to be like, well, if I'm not gonna like do it all the time or like if it's not perfect or whatever, like it's I can't even start. But like what I love about what your team has done is the example that you're setting of like, okay, we're not doing it like every day, we're not doing it every week. Hopefully, maybe like every couple months, but like it's still this idea that we're trying to like put worship first and like pray over that land and pray over the space that we believe the Lord has called us to. Um, and it doesn't mean that you have to go every day and you have to do this every day. Um, but it just it looks like giving it to the Lord and just continuing to worship even when you have no idea what's coming up. So I love that. Maybe it's because I just need more of that in my life where I just chill a little bit. Chill, Kate. It's fine. But I love to like, man, the Lord, like he gives us so many visions that's bigger than ourselves. And for us, the exciting news that we want to share with you guys, our friends, is that we're going to Kenya. The book is going to Kenya. What? It's crazy. We just had a meeting the other day about what our time will look there and the even how the Lord orchestrated all of this is wild. We had some Christy actually lived in Kenya for about a year, so we have some pretty strong ties there with some ministries and um they got a hold of the book when it got published, which is humbling and there's a ministry out there that is working with with young girls who are just trying to figure out who they are, trying to figure out how to follow Jesus and how to just build a foundation for their life that they can just build upon, a strong foundation that they can build upon. And so we're going there to do some teaching with the book, to just walk alongside the ministry that's already there to serve them. And that is wild. I like, I still can't believe it. I think by the time that this actually airs on YouTube, we're obviously recording it a little bit earlier because we're not in Kenya. Because when we are in Kenya, we'll be together recording. But which is crazy. But when this actually airs, we will actually be in Kenya, which is crazy. So there's a lot of really exciting pieces of what we're going to be doing there. But again, it just kind of goes back to that dream of where the Lord gave us this word of like a global community where it's like, I don't know how to do that, but he will make a way. And I love that. I still can't believe that we're headed there.
Yeah, I have not stopped smiling since we had the call not long ago with our ministry contacts there. And just even since the moment I like purchased my plane ticket, I have not stopped smiling. One, it's a place that is very near and dear to my heart.
Mm-hmm.
Like, look, it's no secret. My teammates here know it. Like, I thought the Lord was going to send me back to Kenya and that I would be there full time. Thailand wasn't even on my radar. And yet, Thailand is where I am. But like, Kenya will just always hold such a special place in my heart. And so, to have heard from them, the fact that yeah, they did get a hold of the book and it means so much to them, like that is so humbling.
Yeah.
And to still, for each of us, you know, to get to be a part of a place that we love, and
Mm-hmm.
now to get to go there and just partner with their ministry even more and share with these girls things that like they're going through this book, you know, and like it's just leading more and more women to the heart of the Father. And like that's been our heartbeat from the very beginning. And
Yeah.
so absolutely that fits into this dream that the Lord has given, you know, like I think we're both in this spot of like, God, we'll go wherever you want to send us. Like wherever you want this resource to go, we'll go.
Yes.
We don't care about how many countries it's in, how many people have it. We just want it to be a tool for people. And we
Yeah.
love hearing when people, when it's impacting their lives. Because it's not like this pat on the back to us. It just
Mm-hmm.
affirms all the more like how much we all just need to be close to the Father. We all just desire to understand him more. And that is what's such a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, like that's just what we want. We just want to be with Jesus and we just
Yep.
want people to know him. And if this can help in that, we're all for it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think about the cover of our book. I don't have it right now because I forgot it. It's on my other desk over there. But I think about the cover of the book, which is women, right? Like linking arms, walking together. Like that is the heartbeat. And I love that this is just another chance to just step into that. Again, in a dream that like from the very beginning, we were like, I don't know how to do this, but I'm going to say yes. And then I'm going to say yes again. And you know what? The yeses have felt bigger and bigger as we've gone. At first, it was like, okay, yeah, like I'll help write a book. Like for me, like for us, like that's not a huge yes because it's a dream of ours. But now it's like getting bigger and bigger. Where I was like, yes, I will help figure out translation. Yes, I will. Like all these, like, yes, I will. Like Christy, yes, I will step on a stage over Zoom and like give a talk to some college students. You know, like what? But like the Lord, he often gives us this idea and we don't know the road ahead, but we're just going to say yes every step of the way, trying to trust and trying to say yes in that. And it's not always easy, but it is beautiful. And like there will be bumps and there will be challenges. We have plenty of those. Not even had, we have plenty of those. But again, we're just trying to follow him one step at a time. And while we're in Kenya, we're hoping to chat with some of our friends, our ministry partners there who 100%, they are some brave people. And like I look at the lives that they live, I look at the work that they do, and I'm just like in awe of them. And I'm like, you're superhuman. And they would hate that I said that. But I'm so excited to get to introduce you guys to some of our ministry partners there and just share the vision of what's happening there, but also just challenge the challenge each other to continue to live brave, dream bravely, influence bravery.
Yeah, absolutely. And friends, you can partner with us by just continuing to share the message of A Place
Mm-hmm.
Called Bravely. You can certainly partner with us through prayer too. I mean, as we said, by the time you see this episode, we'll already be there, but you can still join us in praying for
Mm-hmm.
that time and just the hearts that the Lord wants to encounter. We're just so excited and to just have the opportunity to see this message spread more. Yeah, we just want to keep getting the word out. So, with that, if you have not yet ever purchased a copy of A Place Called Braverly, you can do so on our website, aplacecalledbraverly.com. Um, you can also get a free ebook there. And we say it every time, but who doesn't love free things? Oh gosh. So yeah, check that out. There's also a free small group guide. You don't have to have the small group guide to go through this book. It's just an added tool. And it's something that, again, as we're dreaming about like doing this in community, um, just helps unpack it all the more. And you can dive in with friends, with your small group, with your small church, whatever it is. Take the journey together. So you can check all of those things out on our website, aplacecalledbraverly.com. And to end our time, we've been doing this more. I just want to share a simple quote from the book. Kate, it comes from your chapter, coincidentally enough, and what we've been talking about of what's in your hand. And it simply says this: as our world searches for people who will right what has been wronged, the Father asks us, what's that in your hand? More than anything, I believe he is looking for people who are ready to answer that question.
Mm-hmm.
Friends, we believe that that's so true. May you take some time this week to really just sit with the Lord and sit with that question. Allow him to truly ask that to you. What's in your hand? And may you be someone who is ready to answer that question and to step into whatever place he leads you into. Thanks so much for joining us. Kate, thanks for being here. I'm so excited to see you in person before too long.
So excited. Oh my gosh, you have no idea.
It's going to be so good. Friends, have a wonderful week, and we will see you next time.